Isn't it time you got to know your technology leaders on a very real level? Welcome to our monthly Third Thursdays podcast series. You're listening to Off the Record with GTRA, and I'm your host, Kelly Yoka. So grab your coffee or cocktail and join us for our casual yet intimate and thought-provoking expose on our top council members, ambassadors, technology innovators, and thought leaders. Joining me today, I'm here with Aaron Cohen, co-founder and COO of Blackfin Security and founder and managing partner of the Hacker Academy. Thanks for joining us on the GTRA and HTRAC podcast, Aaron.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you and I have known each other and worked together in several different ventures for well over 12 years now. What most people may or may not know is that had it not been for you, I wouldn't have made the jump to starting my own business, which ultimately led to me founding GTRA well over a decade ago. You know, I want to talk about how, over those years, you have made many successful ventures, such as the Hacker Academy, now Security, and now Blackfin. You've been featured in news outlets such as CNBC, CBS News, Chicago Tribune. What I'd like you to share is, some of your favorite milestone stories other executives and entrepreneurs can relate to. So a point where you kind of stepped and pitched yourself and thought, how cool is this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Back in 2005 is when I actually started the Hacker Academy, and that's actually back in the days where we used to have to, set up physical classrooms in hotels and all over the country. And it's like a road show. Every time you wanted to train a group of people on something for security, we would book a hotel room, and I'd be crawling all over the floor under desks, plugging in cords and setting up, routers and switches. And, the day that we were able to stop doing all of that and actually make an online platform where we could actually train people really, really well from the comforts of their own home in front of their own computer with all the hands-on things that we could do in a classroom, that was when I realized, this is actually going to be a really fun and cool business to be in. And the time that we were doing it was just a really neat time to do that.
Yeah, we've definitely come a long way from the value of in-person versus convenience of your own home in terms of training. So very good point. And also, as an entrepreneur, I can speak from personal experience about how sometimes it feels like you're alone on an island. What would you tell your startup self 10 years ago as one of the best lessons you learned?
It's actually a really, really easy question, but a very good question. The thing that we always try and do when we're starting a business as an entrepreneur is make money. And it's not as simple as just taking whatever money is thrown at you or any deal that comes across. So I guess I wish 10 years ago someone would have said, focus on one thing. Be really, really good at one thing and not okay at 10 different things. And, quite frankly, if I would have known that lesson, it would have probably shortened 5 years off of my career to this stage of spinning wheels, trying to appease every potential customer, as opposed to just saying, we're going to forego certain money and be really good at one thing.
I love that advice. You've given to me personally many times, so I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. It can be challenging though when you do have a lot of different service offerings and you're really trying to make sure you provide an end-to-end service. And obviously you have a vast array of service offerings. So, how do you wrangle all that in and decide what is the most important?
Figure out where, quite frankly, and it's a good question, but figure out where those revenue streams are, where you're making the most money for the least amount of effort and doing a really good job and doing your customers right, and focus in on those areas. It'll become pretty clear. I mean, when we were doing consulting and training and selling products and doing all these different things, it was twofold. It was, number one, we didn't have a focus, but number two, which is why we started Blackfin Security, but number two, it was, figuring out how to have a passion for one specific thing. And that's what we did. It was training, and we said, training's the passion, training is the future, and it's an interesting and fun business to be a part of. So everything else kind of quieted down, and, we formed this company to be really good at one thing as opposed to doing all those different things. So it's a really hard decision to say no to money on a certain front. But in the long run, if you're really good at something, you're going to get tenfold.
Well, you certainly chose probably one of the most important and critical areas to be in, and that's really what we're going to start to talk about now, and that is how important cybersecurity training is for end users. I mean, you can't go a day without hearing about, all of the government, healthcare, financial sector, even the energy industry being constantly hacked and breached. And so many people think that a lot of them are intentional, malicious attacks, which in a lot of cases they are. But, in many cases, it really comes down to training your organization, training the end users. And, I don't think that many, people realize how much of that comes down to a lack of effective training. Obviously, there's many training available, out there for security professionals. But what about for the doctors and nurses in healthcare, the government administrators and end users, those that aren't the security technology executives? So let's talk a little bit now about what you're doing at Blackfin, and which is obviously a security training company, and with all the government healthcare breaches, many of which occur due to those simply end user mistakes. And why is it important? And, if you can share some use cases with us, that would be very intriguing.
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, anyone who's listening to this recently has probably already read the news or seen on TV with the latest and greatest, in addition to Target and Home Depot and everything else you read. Now it's the healthcare industry with Anthem. Healthcare also gets hit left and right with this stuff. And I think the latest numbers were somewhere around 80 million individuals had personal information taken through Anthem, social security numbers, addresses, phone numbers, all this different stuff. And I believe the latest is saying that it could have taken place through a very simple phishing attack, or even a more advanced phishing attack. But phishing attack is what they're saying it was. So meaning that, one of their internal users clicked on a fake phishing email and gave up their credentials and gave the bad guys access to all of the information internally. So, that's just one recent example from the healthcare industry, but it happens, all across, not just healthcare and, manufacturing, and like you said, the energy companies and government as well.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I'm in this industry too, and, one of the most eye-opening experiences that I had, very recently was with you when we were going through your Blackfin training demo, and it was showing this Facebook issue. Obviously, it doesn't matter what industry you are in, your family members, your friends, who have nothing to do with whatever industry all of our listeners are in. But, it was incredible how, something as simple as, your mother's maiden name and your date of birth and her date of birth all can really very easily be discovered by Facebook. People who are very innocently, participating in social media. And we don't really stop and think about how, while we are security professionals, we might realize how vulnerable we are. It's our friends and family who we are connected with and what they're sharing about us that it makes it vulnerable.
Yeah, some of these great and latest and greatest applications and social media sites and all this, they're really fun and they're wonderful to have around, but it's a double-edged sword as to what you're actually sharing.
Yeah, and that's where the training comes in. It's more of an awareness. We've been told for years and seeing in the news, recently about phishing and password security. It always seems like training is the same and it's boring. How has security awareness, this isn't a new topic. It's been around for a long time. We're hearing about it now more due to the recent breaches. What are you guys doing now with training that makes it more engaging and effective?
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up. I was speaking with someone about this recently where, security awareness is by no means a new topic. It's been around for 10, 20 years, and phishing's been around for a long time too. And all these different threats that continuously happen have been addressed. through a security awareness program, and they've been boring. PowerPoint presentations, things that make you want to fall asleep and answer yes, no at the end of the quiz just to be done with it. What we feel and what we've thought all along since we started developing this type of training is it needs to be engaging. And, I use the example of going home and, wanting to turn on a security awareness program. You're probably not going to do that. And even with ours, you're probably not going to do that. But we try and make things personal so that people have a really good understanding of why we're asking them to do certain things and asking them not to do other things through an engaging presentation with movement and, things that are important to them while they're not just at work, but also when they're at a coffee shop or on an airplane or at home, and making sure that their kids are secure online. I mean, there's all different ways that we've incorporated into this training to make sure that people are engaged. And if they have to watch something, let's at least make it effective and engaging so that they actually learn something. And that's, what we're doing nowadays. And quite frankly, everyone should be doing it that way because of the way technology has progressed. You can do that a lot easier and more cost effective the way we have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, great, engaging, effective. But what about, for HIPAA and FISMA compliance mandates?
Yeah, same exact thing, right? HIPAA and FISMA and other other compliance mandates make sure that you have to have security awareness training. So if you're going to roll out security awareness training cost effectively and time effectively, make it engaging. You can still do that while, checking the box for compliance. And that's what we're trying to do as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Aaron. This has been so fascinating. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's always good to chat with an old friend and make sure that your users know about who we are, what we do, and about security awareness and entrepreneurship.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. And we also have Megan, the Business Development Manager at Blackfin, with us today to talk about the Blackfin and GTRA H-Track partnership and what we are offering government and healthcare end users in terms of a very cost-effective healthcare security and government security awareness training. Thank you for joining us, Megan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about this program, some of the things that, we're doing together and what you would like to see come as a partnership for 2015.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know the training partnership with your organization is definitely aimed at bringing that engaging, relevant security awareness training that Aaron was discussing. We can bring that training directly to the delegates who participate in your organization and hopefully get them to take that back to their companies in order to strengthen that end user line of defense, meaning the employees who do have the access to their company's network and who do sometimes fall victim to things like phishing attacks or weak passwords.
Okay, great. Well, I hate to, obviously talk about or borderline, promote something, for our own organization, which is really what we're trying to not do. But, we feel so strongly about the importance of this. So we're actually giving away some of this training to our council members and our top CIOs and chief security officers because we really want to, give back to the community who has always been supporting us for many years. So maybe talk a little bit more about how the federal and healthcare CIOs can utilize that training platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know something that we are doing with H-Track and GTRA specifically is that we're offering all of the delegates 10 free seats. And what that allows them to do is for them not only to take a look at it, but to take it back, like I said, to their organization and get it in front of some of the people who make those decisions. And then you can really collaborate with us to find out, if you like it, if it's what you're looking for, and discuss what's missing from solutions you may already be using.
What are some of the challenges you've seen in federal or healthcare CIOs and CISOs deciding to make the switch from whatever current security training offering they currently are using to other organization and, with Blackfin? Is this going to be something that's quick and seamless? How easy is this? Obviously we want to offer the most effective training, but we don't want it to disrupt their business practice and, of course, the day-to-day of their end users. So let's talk a little bit about how we can make this easy on everybody.
So yeah, the transition from, say, if someone's using something internally or another vendor, the transition would be essentially seamless. What you see a lot of days is the way that the training is being delivered, and not only security awareness training, but computer-based training in general would be through a learning management system. And of course, I don't want to go into too much detail and bore people on the call today, but yeah, it would be a seamless transition. And what you're able to do then is, with little to no effort on the client side, is take these packages that we've created for both healthcare specific and government specific clients and upload that into your own system and deliver it, while having your employees be tracked and reported on a system that you're used to operating.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit now about role-based training. I mean, I know a lot of chief security officers obviously know what this means, but I think we also have a lot of CIOs and some business leaders who I think would glean a lot from, really some additional focus role-based training. So what is it? How does it work? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So role-based training is something that we've moved to. We started doing that probably 18 months ago now, and it would be great to see the rest of the security awareness training business kind of trend that way, because what we're finding is that people, like you had mentioned, are finding the security awareness training very boring. I mean, it's lackluster to say the least, and you can try to liven it up through different messaging and cartoons, but really what it's about is trying to change behavior, so making it relevant to people's access levels. And then another way to look at it is making it relevant to what they're seeing at home. So if you start to teach people concepts that they can actually take home with them, such as things about being safe on social media and so on and so forth, that's when you're actually going to see behavior change. So with role-based training, we take each role within your organization, so say CEO, for example, or executive staff as a whole, and we train them very differently than what we would train, say, administrative account holders. So that's simply what role-based training is. It's combining that more technical, aspect of security awareness training and not leaving out the more general awareness training, such as the phishing and password stuff. It's really combining the two for a more holistic solution. Okay,
great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Megan. I mean, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm excited to continue this partnership. So where can people learn a little bit more about these training options, especially our council members who want to redeem the great offer you are giving them for the free seat for the user training?
Yeah, so I know HTRAC and GTRA on both of your sites, you have a training component in your toolbar at the top, or you can go directly to our site, which is getblackfin.com. And under the Contact Us option, just put a note that you heard this on the podcast. And we will definitely get you hooked up with those free seats.
Great. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Tune in for our next monthly Third Thursday podcast series, Off the Record with GTRA. Make sure you save the date for our GTRA and Health Tech Council Summit, June 28th through 30th in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, as well as our 5th Annual Converse Tech Awards, a recognition for technology leaders and innovators from government, healthcare, finance, and energy. Remember to nominate your peers and attend the Black Tie Awards Gala, where we announce the winners in a very exciting and dramatic envelope opening Oscar style. Also, be sure to save the date for our fall Secure Gov and Secure Health Council Summit, November 15th through 17th at the Homestead Resort in Virginia. Again, I'm your host, Shelly Yocum, and I look forward to your topic ideas, feedback, and suggested podcast participants. So feel free to reach out to me directly at shelly@gtra.org.